Jack kicked open his front door and saw his elderly father crouching beside the sheep pen, gnawing on a moldy cornbread bun, his lips blue from the cold. Meanwhile, his in-laws were inside, drinking and eating meat as the whole room filled with the smell of food. Jack had spent years driving a semi. A single long-haul trip could last 3 days and nights, and when exhaustion hit, he'd slap himself hard just to stay awake. He made 30,000 yen a month and sent every penny of it to his wife. He always thought everything at home was peaceful, and that his father had everything he needed to enjoy his final years. But the moment he opened that door, his eyes instantly turned red. In the bitter winter cold, his father wore a torn, padded coat with the stuffing exposed and lay curled up on cardboard beside the sheep pen. In his hand was half a bun covered in green mold. Years of coarse food and hunger had ruined his teeth, and blood stained the corner of his mouth. When he saw Jack, the old man recoiled in fear, quickly hid the moldy bun behind his back and lowered his head without daring to make a sound. Inside the warm living room, the charcoal fire was blazing and the rich smell of stewed chicken drifted outside. His mother-in-law lounged with a chicken leg, while his father-in-law sipped liquor and chewed peanuts. Tangerines and walnut pastries covered the table. Jack had paid for all of it. His wife stood nearby, eagerly pouring her mother another drink. Not once did she look toward the freezing sheep pen or show any concern for her suffering father-in-law. Jack rushed over and carefully helped his frozen father up. The old man's hands were covered in deep cracks, and his frostbite had already become infected. Even the lightest touch made his whole body tremble in pain. With red eyes, Jack turned and angrily confronted his wife. "I make 30,000 yen a month for you, and this is how you treat my dad? You make him live by the sheep pen and eat moldy food?" His wife's face instantly went pale, and she hurried to defend herself. Dad said he wanted some peace and insisted on staying by the sheep pen for fresh air. He chose to eat that bun, too. None of this has anything to do with me. His mother-in-law casually spat a chicken bone onto the floor and snapped at him with a vicious look. "You're a grown man. Supporting your wife and her family is your duty. As long as the old man doesn't starve to death, he's fine." This was nothing. Things were only going to get harder. Jack carried his father inside, laid him on his own bed, and carefully covered him with 2 thick quilts. After settling his father in, Jack returned to the living room and kicked the dining table over. Every bowl and plate crashed to the floor and shattered. The scalding chicken soup spilled all over his mother-in-law. She screamed in pain and quickly hid behind her husband. Seeing this, his father-in-law grabbed a liquor bottle from the table and tried to hit him. Jack snatched the bottle away, his eyes bloodshot as he roared. "I built this house brick by brick with my own hands. This is my home, and I make the rules. Get out right now." His wife's legs gave out. She dropped to her knees and frantically tried to explain through her tears. "I didn't want any of this. My mom forced me. I didn't have a choice. She said your dad must have hidden retirement money. She made me send him to the sheep pen and pressured him every day to hand it over. When he said there was none, she made him eat stale buns and sleep on cardboard." Jack froze and turned toward his father on the bed. The old man shook his head with tears in his eyes. He had worked the land honestly his entire life and had never hidden any retirement savings. Jack had once believed his father had hidden money and brought his mother-in-law's hostility on himself. Only now did he finally understand that it had all come from his in-laws' baseless suspicion and greed. His wife tearfully admitted that every paycheck Jack sent home had been taken by her mother. Not a cent of his hard-earned money remained. It had all gone toward buying her younger brother a house and a car. Her mother always said her son carried on the family name, so they had to give him everything they had. Jack's head buzzed and his mind instantly went blank. He had worked himself to the bone, driving day and night, yet his own father had never enjoyed a single benefit. Instead, all that money had supported his brother-in-law and fed his mother-in-law's greed. Just as Jack was about to throw his in-laws out, his mother-in-law suddenly dropped to the floor, slapped her thighs, and began wailing. "Everybody, come look! My son-in-law has no respect for his elders. He's heartlessly throwing us out. This is outrageous!" Her shrill cries shattered the silence of the courtyard, carried over the walls, and quickly drew neighbors from across the village. Winter afternoons were usually quiet, so even the smallest commotion could spread through the entire alley. When they heard her screaming, doors opened one after another. Villagers hurried into the courtyard, craning their necks and whispering among themselves. Once she saw the growing crowd, Jack's mother-in-law cried even louder, kicking her legs and sobbing dramatically. "Everyone, look at this. My son-in-law made a little money and suddenly thinks he's better than us. Now he wants to throw 2 old people out. How is that fair?" Several nosy women crowded beneath the window and stretched their necks to look inside. Seeing the crowd, Jack's father-in-law immediately dropped his threatening expression and put on the face of a deeply wronged victim. Clutching his chest and breathing heavily, he pointed at Jack with a trembling hand. "Neighbors, you tell me what's right. We came all this way to stay with our daughter for a few days. The moment her husband came home, he flipped the table, attacked us, poured chicken soup all over my wife, and tried to throw us out. What kind of person does that?" The second he finished speaking, the courtyard erupted with chatter. "That's way too far. They're still his elders. He always seemed like such an honest man. How could he do something like this?" Truck drivers all have bad tempers. He made some money and stopped treating his wife's family like human beings. Jack stood in the doorway, clenching his fists until his knuckles cracked and grinding his teeth. He stared at his mother-in-law rolling around on the ground as blood rushed to his head. 3 years of hard work, humiliation, and lies jammed in his throat like a red-hot piece of iron he could neither swallow nor spit out. He wanted to scream and expose everything, but then he noticed people recording him, their phone cameras aimed straight at his face. He knew exactly what would happen. Once those clips were edited and posted online, he'd become the monster who made money and abused old people. He could even lose his trucking job. Just then, a violent coughing fit came from his father's room. The sound was hoarse, wet, and ragged, like air leaking from a broken bellows. The coughing came one burst after another until it sounded like he could barely breathe. Jack jolted, swallowed every word, and ran straight to his father's room. The old man was curled into a ball on the bed, shaking violently. His thin hand covered his mouth as he desperately tried to suppress the coughing, but it only grew worse. His face turned purple, and his eyes bulged. Jack ripped back the blankets and saw a large wet stain on his father's pant leg. He touched it, and his heart dropped. It was blood. His father's legs had been badly frostbitten long ago. Below the knees, they were swollen like rising dough, and the skin had turned dark blue and black. Several open sores were leaking dark red pus and blood, soaking a large patch of the bedding. Jack's eyes filled with tears and his voice began to break. "Dad, why didn't you tell me? How could you let yourself get this bad without saying anything?" After finally bringing the coughing under control, the old man gasped for air and forced out a few muffled words through the few broken teeth he had left. Don't fight with your wife. I'm fine. You're away all year, and she has to hold the family together. I can't make things harder for you." Those words cut into Jack's heart like a rusty knife. His father was half frozen and still thinking about him. But what had Jack done? He sent money home every month, but had never even taken the time to have a real phone call with his father. Every time, he only said the same thing. "Dad, eat well, take care of yourself, and don't worry about money." He thought sending money meant his father would live comfortably, but not a single cent of his hard-earned cash had reached him. It had become his brother-in-law's car, his brother-in-law's house, and the chicken bones in his mother-in-law's mouth. With red eyes, Jack pulled out his phone and called an ambulance. The moment his mother-in-law heard him calling for an ambulance, she sprang up from the floor and rushed over to slap the phone from his hand. "Why are you calling an ambulance? Why waste all that money? The old man just got a little cold. Give him some ginger tea and he'll be fine. Do you have money to burn?" Jack spun around and shot her a look. It was cold as ice and hot with rage, forcing her to stumble back 2 steps. "Try that one more time." He spoke slowly and quietly, but his voice cut through every sound in the courtyard. His mother-in-law opened her mouth but didn't dare say another word. When the call connected, Jack gave the address and told the ambulance to pull right up to the courtyard gate. After hanging up, he bent down, lifted his father together with the bedding, and carried him outside. The old man was frighteningly light. Wrapped in the blanket, he weighed less than 90 pounds like a bundle of dry firewood. His bones dug painfully into Jack's arms. As he passed through the living room, Jack stopped for a moment. He looked at his wife, Lucy, who was still kneeling on the floor. "Lucy, you're coming to the hospital with me. We need to talk in the ambulance." Lucy trembled. She looked at her mother, then at Jack. After hesitating for a long moment, she finally stood up and followed him.